Welcome back, art students. All right, so I've come a long ways with my outlining. You can see I included a few extra details, the distant sea. You can see the detail in my waves down here. You can see the difference also between the thick Sharpie marker and my thin ballpoint pen. But it still helps show the lines a lot darker. Okay, and I did my castle over there. Okay, so we're black and white now at this point, nice and contrasty. And yeah, so now we're ready for color at this point. For color, you can work with a variety of materials. You could use colored pencils. You could use coloring crayons. And I thought this time, if you have it available to you, instead of coloring crayons, if you want to experiment a little bit with some oil pastel, you could try that out too a little bit. And then later down the road, when we're all done with those drawing materials for coloring, I thought it would be fun to do some washing around with some probably blue and green, like aqua colors for the water, and maybe even for the sky. We'll see if we get that far. Okay, so let's begin. So I'm just going to start with basic crayon, and I'm just going to, I really like crayon a lot because it's really good for, again, outlining. You know, that good old-fashioned trick that you've probably learned a long time ago for your coloring. If you press hard on the lines for an outline, like this, and then you can lightly color in like this. It's such a great technique. I love it, and it works really well for our long ships. Okay, some value changes, contrast. So that is something you can consider. Really, really helpful. You could even layer in with it. You can experiment a little bit. Maybe you want to go in there with some colored pencil. Boom, boom, boom. Some colored pencil. Mix, 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 mix. See what happens. You know, there's fun textural qualities that happen when you mix your crayons and your colored pencils and your watercolor paints. All these fun things happen when they work together. And that, students, is called mixed media. This is a mixed media art project, and that is why we're working on some nice quality paper. Okay, so I'm going to continue that all the way through here. Okay, so that is one technique that you can keep in consideration. I'm just going to show you examples of coloring. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me color the whole thing. But that is one technique, so sharing a relationship between crayon and colored pencil. Maybe you want to try out another technique where, let's say, first you put down colored pencil. I don't see the color I want here. Oh, here we go. So let's say that you use this red. So here's some red. The fun thing about red is it's so vibrant and so stark and contrasty. I like it. So you can get lots of really good value shifting if you want with your color pencils. You can lighten up your pressure to get some light colors, and you can darken your pressure to get some dark, vivid, saturated colors. Maybe you want a gradual change, maybe you don't. Okay, so there's some colored pencil I laid down. And then maybe on top of all of that, perhaps you could take like an oil pastel. And I kind of want to look for a red one. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find a red oil pastel. There we go. Okay, so I found a red oil pastel. So then on top of your colored pencil, if you want to experiment this way, you could rub on there some oil pastel. And I'll experiment a couple different areas. Let me zoom in for you so you can really see what's happening here. So first I put on some color pencil. Now I'm layering on top of it some oil pastel. So that's how that might look. Now you can use your pencil again on top of it one more time, and you can get these really fun kind of scratch marks that happen with your pencil. The only thing when you do this, when you're scratching into your oil pastel, is it's gonna go somewhere. Those little flakes that I just kind of blew away, you're gonna have to take close watch on those because they could smear. Oh, see, like this one here that kind of just flew over here? It could smear in your white space, so I recommend you blow your flakes away. But if you look really close, do you see my scratch marks? Kind of a cool textural quality that you could really bring to your work. And then the Viking Longships, they did a pattern, especially with red and blue, I think, where it's red, white, you know, and it goes all the way across. You can use whatever colors you want, though, or whatever patterns you want in your sails. You can get very creative with that. So that is a technique you can do with your oil pastel and your color pencils. You don't have to use oil pastel. If you don't have them, that's okay. Crayons are another great alternative, like I was showing you over here. All right. Let's see. If you want to just use plain oil pastel directly onto your surface, let's see what that looks like. So here's a light color oil pastel, so I'm just gonna go right to it. A little bit of this aqua blue, kind of a cool color. That's how that looks if you want to just use plain, just some plain watercolor, or not watercolor, oil pastel. You can get some really nice texture, and especially depending on your paper and the amount of pressure that you're applying. So that would be a way how you could use some of just plain oil pastel. Also, if you want, you could get like a white crayon or maybe a gray, something like that. And I think for my sky, I want it to appear very stormy. So I'm just gonna experiment a little bit here with some white crayon. And I'm just gonna put some rather horizontal lines in there, because I plan on doing a wash of like some darker gray colors to make my sky look kind of stormy, but I kind of want to retain some of the white qualities of the paper. So just simply rubbing over some white crayon in some of those areas should help kind of retain some of that, even while I'm washing over it with some darker gray color. Okay, and I think that's really all I want to explain when it comes to coloring. That's a lot of techniques covered, and I hope that you can apply some of those techniques into your artwork. It's really going to help bring it some nice texture qualities when it comes to your drawing, okay? After we're done drawing with color, I think it's worth it to take a quick light wash of watercolor paint on top of a lot of what we have going on here. And you can pick and choose if you want to do that just to your water and just to this. If you're satisfied with your drawing, you don't have to paint on top of your drawing. It's completely optional, but I want to show you what that looks like in the next video.